Hello and welcome to Freedom Watch, your daily dose of raw liberty, streaming online at foxnews.com. I'm your host, Judge Andrew Napolitano, here defending freedom, defending your natural rights, and defending your right to have a government that stays within the confines of the Constitution. You have all heard me state repeatedly that everything the government runs is broke. Social Security is broke. Medicare is broke. Medicaid is broke. Amtrak is broke. The post office is broke. Now the same bureaucrats that have run the government into the ground want to run health care. And they also want us to believe that they can fix the economy and repair the damage done to the dollar by recklessly borrowing and ruthlessly printing money and by spending into the trillions. They forget that the government consumes wealth and only the free market can produce wealth. In an upcoming article in Forbes magazine, Congressman Ron Paul says, be prepared for the worst. The large-scale government intervention in the economy is going to end badly. It's now my pleasure to introduce one of America's great defenders of freedom and liberty today. Congressman Ron Paul joins us from our nation's capital. He is the author of the New York Times bestseller, one of his several bestsellers, End the Fed. Congressman Paul, welcome back to Freedom Watch.
Thank you, Judge. Good to be with you.
Why should we expect the worst, and what do you warn in this article that we should all expect? Well,
as you said in your opening statement, what has the government done right? And if you were going to turn medical care over to the government, their test was how well they could distribute vaccine for H1N1. And the question of whether it was necessary or not, all that exists. But they did that so poorly and intervened so viciously in our rights, and that sent a message. I think that is part of the problem going on throughout society and throughout the markets right now, is the governments just are totally inept. And the pretense is that, the stimulus is working. You hear the liberal writers saying, the stimulus worked. All we need is more of it, and then it would have really worked. Well, the trouble is it didn't work. They took billions and billions, if not trillions of dollars away from the people and gave it to the government, and the government spent it, which means they misallocate credit and misallocate resources, and they make things worse. And so we haven't changed anything. This idea that the GDP went up, well, they measure GDP by government spending as well. That's included in it. So what is this? We either borrow the money from the Chinese, or we print the money, we spend the money, it goes in, and you buy up clunkers or buy up houses and say that, the GDP went up. Well, it has to be temporary, and that's been my argument. That's my argument in the article, is that if you see economic growth returning, you're kidding yourself, because all the bad policies are in place. And unfortunately, from the people I deal with here in Washington, there aren't very many free market economists here or believe in the free market. They've all been trained and indoctrinated by Keynesian economics, and they really don't believe in freedom and sound money in the sense that I do.
You point out in your article, Congressman Paul, that we are seeing some little snippets of growth here and there today. You call them some green shoots of growth. Just as we saw in 1930, when Hoover and later FDR, of course, were trying to micromanage the economy from Washington, D.C. Why do we see these snippets of growth, and why should we reject the government's claims that they are a sign of better things to come?
Well, I think it's part of human nature, because nothing goes down until the very end stages with a currency. At the end stages, a currency does fall off a cliff and it goes down. But if you look at the dollar's been going down for many, many decades. So all markets go up and down and have blips, but you have to look at trends. So because the market just really was bad a year ago, the fact that, a lot of money is pumped in and people are trying to stimulate things, even when they're artificial, it will look like there are some growth in the economy. But I think that's all a delusion. I think it's a mistake. And the worst thing we could do is assume that what we have done here in Washington in the last year has been helpful. That is very, very dangerous, because it's all been very damaging.
You predict in your article a drop in growth worse than anything we have seen in the past 2 years. What are you talking about?
Well, I think the whole economy is going to be much weaker. We've had a financial collapse. The financial system was built on a house of cards, which was the fiat dollar standard, and it was international because that was a reserve standard. But we haven't had a dollar crisis. Matter of fact, the dollar is benefiting to a degree right now because there is still a lot of dollars out there, and people don't even know where to park them. So they park it in Treasury bills, which helps the Fed and drives down the interest rates, helps the government. But that is all temporary. When the dollar collapses, what happens is the people recognize what you said earlier on, that everything the government touches is bankrupt. And when that comes about, already we saw an early sign of this. The Social Security beneficiaries didn't get any cost of living increase this year as a pretense that there really wasn't any inflation and we're going to straighten up our house. But eventually, everything the government touches and passes out, the dollar will lose its value. So the more dollars they print, the more value it loses. So far, they have been lucky enough that they printed dollars and the people have taken it, like Goldman Sachs and others keep making more and more. But eventually this dollar is going to quit working, and then everybody's going to know what poverty is all about.
You and I have talked about this off air, but we keep hearing rumors and snippets and references in the blogs to it. Are you considering running for the nomination of a party for president in 2012?
Not seriously, but, I listen to them, and that's a long way off. I think more about what the dollar is doing today and what we're going to do with health care and a few other things. So my plans aren't that far out. So, no, I'm not giving it serious consideration.
But you must know that there are millions out there that would ardently desire this. We did Freedom Watch last week before a live student audience at Drexel University in Philadelphia, in the same room where then Senator McCain and then Senator Obama debated in one of the debates a year ago. Everybody was asking me, and these are students, is Ron Paul going to run for president?
Well, Judge, I think it might be your turn this go around. So you and I have to have another private conversation on this.
Congressman Paul, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us on Freedom Watch.
Thank you.